Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today I will be doing my first ever completed sketchbook tour, so I am super excited to be able to share this with you guys because as the title implies, this is the very first sketchbook that I've been able to complete from front to back, and it's a really huge accomplishment for me, especially because I have a really terrible habit of just hoarding sketchbooks. So I would buy one and then maybe do a few pages of it and then just never open it again, and then I'll buy a new one just because I love that feel of a brand new sketchbook. So I've been hoarding a lot of sketchbooks, and so it's really exciting to finally be able to completely finish one, and hopefully I could continue this trend and finish my other sketchbooks. So without further ado, we're gonna get started. On the first inner cover, I have some stickers from Redbubble, unless otherwise stated. So first I have Sora from Kingdom Hearts 3 from Panda Banda. And then I have a random cherry blossom sticker from a sticker sheet that my sister got me when she was in Canada. And on this side, I have some stickers that have Kingdom Hearts themed symbols, which are from Sir Lindsay. And then this sticker is from Sumiko Garashi, the official sticker book. On the inside cover, I have a sticker referring to the video game Undertale, where throughout the game there are multiple times when they say that doing XYZ fills you with determination. So I thought it'd be really cute to get a sticker that says drawing in this sketchbook fills you with determination, as a way to kind of motivate myself to keep going with the sketchbook. I listed some simple art goals. And for the first drawing, I started this in July of 2019 and then finished in October of 2020. So it took me just under a year and a half to complete all 120 pages of this sketchbook. And you'll see in the first few pages that I did a lot of drawings of my original character Sora, since when I started this sketchbook, he was my newest original character. So I was in the process of just trying to figure out his design, and I was doing some literary role-playing with a friend to kind of flesh out his character and his backstory. This drawing was inspired by my Art Snacks box that I'd gotten that month, where I think I'd gotten a green Dum Dum Pop, so I decided to just draw my characters, Rain and Denzel, with a green Dum Dum Pop. I also enjoy using colored lead with my mechanical pencil, so it was currently on green lead at the time as well. Another drawing of Sora. I wanted to add more color with my drawings, so this was kind of like my poor attempt at like adding washi tape, and then I was trying out my new Posca markers. And on the left column, I was playing around with the Derwent watercolor colored pencils. And then this drawing of Sora was inspired after I had finished watching the Fruits Basket reboot season 1 episode, where at the end they buy crepes. So that's where I got this idea from. And on this side, I wanted to play around with the Daniel Smith watercolors that I'd gotten with my Art Snacks box. And the ELO sketchbook can handle wet media, so you can see that there's not a lot of warping with the page, but it's definitely not made for watercolors, as you could tell by just all the streakiness. And I feel like when you lay down the color, it just immediately just absorbs into the paper. So don't recommend this book for any watercolors. More art of Sora, and then I think this was the gold Posca marker that I had bought. So this is Sora in his original demon form. And then this drawing of my character Rain was inspired by the art of Yuna from Final Fantasy X on the back cover of the PS2 game. So Rain's design does draw some inspiration from Yuna, so that's why I kind of wanted to draw him in that pose. Then this 2-page spread, I was trying to figure out Denzel's waist markings, since even to this day, I feel like I'm really inconsistent with drawing his markings. So as you can see, they're kind of supposed to look like little bat wings that kind of start on his backside and then wrap around his waist. So I was trying to play around with different angles and seeing how his markings would look based on those different angles. But even then, I feel like I'm still very inconsistent with the way that they look. So we've got another drawing of Denzel. And then on this side, Chrissy, aka Tiramisu, here on YouTube, she had sent me a dot card with her samples of the Shinhan professional watercolors, I believe. So I wanted to try those out. And then this is my kind of poor attempt at drawing Denzel and then coloring it with these watercolors. And then I have a random drawing of Riku from Kingdom Hearts 3 on there. So this is the start of the Inktober 2019 portion of my sketchbook. I did do a separate video tour going through all of the different drawings, so I'm not going to spend as much time going through these, but Inktober 2019 was a lot of fun for me. It was the first time that I actually was able to complete all 31 days without falling behind, and I had a lot of fun trying out both acrylic ink, which I used in this piece, as well as just India ink. So I was trying out all the different washes down here. And something I've realized with my drawings is that I am very bad at utilizing all of the white space. And so this was kind of like my poor attempt at trying to fill in all of the random white areas of the page. And I think this one is still my favorite out of all my Inktober drawings, because I feel like when I think of Inktober, I just think like just pure black and white and maybe a dash of color. And I feel like I was really able to capture that with this piece. And then I was trying out a new new mechanical pencils that I had gotten. And the camera is probably not going to pick up a lot of my lighter sketches. So basically with Inktober, I did various thumbnails and drawings ahead of time just to try to figure out and brainstorm what I was going to do each day for the prompt so that I wouldn't spend that much time on the day of doing so. And this piece I had done for the Art Snacks October monthly challenge. So I used Copic markers as well as the acrylic ink. And I believe I used my own Tombow for the lighter purple. But I really like the way that this piece turned out. And I keep this kind of wax paper protective cover since the downside of using ink on both sides is that eventually the ink kind of transfers over to the other page. So I didn't want it to ruin this piece. And this was the last Inktober doodle. And so moving on, I was just playing around with doing floral patterns, getting a hang of my Prima Marketing watercolors. I had also gotten the Posca marker, I believe it's a 10 color set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 color set. So I swatched it out to see how it would look on the paper. Something about this time period that I had the sketchbook was that I had kind of like renewed this passion for traditional art, so I went on a splurge multiple times to buy a lot of different art supplies. So you're going to see a lot of different swatches in the next pages to come. So on this side, I remember I was in a major art block, and a lot of times when I'm in that setting, I will try to think of like maybe an anime series from my childhood or just a popular series that I've enjoyed watching and then do a screen cap redraw. So that's what I had done with this drawing. Was I did a few screen cap redraws of characters from Shaman King, which is kind of like my super nostalgic anime series from when I was growing up. And then on this side I had a few rough doodles of Roxas from Kingdom Hearts. And I do have the completed piece. I did it on a separate sheet of paper, which I've included in the back pocket, so I will show that to you guys later. And then I also got the Unipin fine liners, so I was testing those out. And I think this is the only spread where I was actually doing some gesture and figure practice. So I was looking up reference poses. It was either through Google Images or on Pinterest. And I decided to just draw my original characters with those poses. And the first one, because of the colored lead that I use, it comes in like a multi-pack or like multiple colors in a single like container. So I ran out of red, and so I had to switch over to blue. So that's why this one is 2 colors. And then more swatches. So these are the Tombow dual brush pens. I think this is the Galaxy set. And then these are the twin tone pastel set. And during this time I was doing a lot of thumbnails for the holiday card exchange that I hosted on Instagram. And I was also working on trying to plan out art for Chrissy's sketchbook swap that I did with her as well. And then just more doodles. And on this page, I was planning to use watercolors and color in these flowers as practice. And these flowers I think I had just picked off from Pinterest, but then I got really tired after drawing them and ended up not coloring them. And then more doodles of Denzel and Rain. And this is when I started doing my OC series, so I will blow through these pretty quickly because I do have my own playlist of those videos where I go through each character and just kind of talk a little bit more about them. So I will link that down below in the description as well as on the upper right hand corner of the screen if you guys are more interested in my original characters and want to learn more about them. And all of these I had done with alcohol markers. I just wanted a place where I would have all of my original characters so that I could just kind of go back and reference them. And I would include information about like their birthday, their personality traits, both positive and negative traits. And you can't see it because of the ink bleeding through, but basically on the left side, I would do like a little thumbnail of what I wanted the character to look like, and then I would draw it on the right side. So this one of Sora, I had actually really liked this pose, but then I realized that I had drawn him too high up, so I didn't want to erase it and like try it again. So I think I traced this and then transferred it over to this page so that I could move it down. That way I had some space to put in all of his information. And I think that was the same case with this one. So I was kind of thinking of the pose for KO. And I liked the pose, but it was just too small. So I did the same thing where I just traced it and transferred it over to the next page. And then this is when we started getting into my minor characters that I don't really draw a lot because I don't have a lot of attachment to them. But I'm still really proud of the way that I did Darius's coloring with alcohol markers, and just the way that like his sleeves and his hair and just all of the gradients, like they just blended really well. And I'm also really happy with the way that the textures came out for like the fur around his shoulders as well as his tail. And then Uriah was gifted to me by Chrissy. We did an original character swap. And this is probably the most ridiculous piece that I have ever drawn. I felt incredibly silly doing this, but this was shortly after the pandemic started, and I was doing a series of sleepovers with my friend, and we were watching a lot of different animes. So one of them was Kill la Kill, which is one of my favorite animes, and there's a really famous like screen cap redraw meme from that series, so I wanted to do that. And I felt that it would be very fitting for KO to kind of portray Mikisugi. So I'll post the screen cap just so you guys know what I'm referencing to. And then with this one, so Chrissy and I discussed the possibility of doing kind of like a week-long series of different word prompts and then drawings based on those prompts. So one of the words that we discussed was growth. So I wanted to interpret that as like physical growth. So I decided to draw both KO and Aru. So KO is older, so when they were younger, he was obviously taller, but then as they got older, KO ended up being shorter than Aru, so that was kind of like my take on growth. And then this was for the, I think it's called Draw draw 6 characters in my style meme or something like that. And it was going around on both Twitter and Instagram where artists would have their followers suggest characters for them to draw in their own style. So there's Nezuko from Demon Slayer, Undertaker from Black Butler or Kuroshitsuji, Princess Bubblegum from Adventure Time, Xu Yang from Omodao Zoshi. I hope I pronounced that correctly, but the MDZS, it's the really famous Chinese drama / anime. I don't know much about it, but I know it's blown up all over my Twitter and my Instagram, and it's super popular. Hatsuharu from Fruits Basket, and then Soma from Chokugeki no Soma or Shokugeki no Soma. It's a cooking anime. And here I just wanted to kind of draw out character designs for Aru's parents. So this one is his dad, Yosuke, who is one of the generals of the demon underworld, and he's in an arranged marriage with a dragon from the mythical realm, so Aru's mother, Nera. And they have a really cute backstory, so hopefully one of these days I'll be able to share it. But I wanted to kind of actually like draw their designs rather than just doing a bunch of headcanons. So more drawings of Aru from childhood. So you guys get to see baby Aru as well as younger Ko. And then I did a drawing of Aru when he was younger and then his 2 parents. I originally was planning to color this, but it just looked really nice as is, so I just left it. And really not much to say here. I just enjoy drawing hair, and I think that's why a lot of my original characters have longer hair, just because it's fun for me to draw. And then on this side, I wanted to do a crossover of Ko and Aru with the movie Promare. Since I remember the first time that I saw Promare and I saw Gallo, I was just like, oh my gosh, like Gallo's design just reminds me of Ko because they both have like that big hair energy and that crazy mohawk and the shaved side of their head. So I thought it'd be really fun to draw Ko kind of like cosplaying as Gallo. And then I also realized that Aru and Leo both wear like all black, like tighter clothing. So I decided to just draw him as Leo. So that was just really fun. And again, I considered adding color to this, but again, I'm just not comfortable with where my level of coloring is compared to my like drawing and line art skills. So a lot of times it's like, well, it looks so nice as is, and I'm afraid that I'm gonna ruin it once I color it, so I don't. And this is when the Shaman King reboot was announced for April of next year in 2021. So I started drawing a lot of Shaman King fan art. And I realized that now that I'm older and I've been drawing more older characters, it's really difficult for me to draw younger characters. So I was just like, oh my goodness, I don't know how to draw 13-year-olds anymore. So that was my poor attempt at drawing Yo. And then for these, I had played around with the Pentel Aquash like water brush marker. So for how I drew both the line art and the shading with just the Pentel Aquash marker. And then for Anna, I think I did a hybrid where I went and did the line art and everything with the Aquash pen, and then I used a pencil to kind of give the lines more definition. And then with Yo, I did the line art with a regular fine liner and then decided to just color in the areas and the shading with the Aquash pen. And then on this side, I drew a lot of Yukiro with his mate Leon. So Leon is an original character who belongs to my friend Spike. We were both in the same DeviantArt art and roleplay group. And so our characters kind of interacted, and then they fell in love and started dating, and now they're married, and they're just so cute together, and I gush over them all the time, probably way too much for my own good, but I occasionally still do some role playing with Spike, and during those times, it's like I suddenly have this burst of desire to just draw more Yukiro and Leon. I have some drawings of Sora. And then on this side, so I started rewatching the Nyan Caves Let's Plays. So one of them was their Kingdom Hearts 358 Days over 2 movie watch. They are probably my favorite YouTubers or Let's Players, and they're just really fun and enjoyable to watch. So occasionally when I get really bored and I want something running in the background while I work, I'll put on one of their Let's Plays. So I was inspired to draw Roxas and Axel from that. And I think 358 Days Over 2 is probably my favorite Kingdom Hearts game from a story standpoint. And then I also rewatched their Let's Play of The World Ends With You. They did the remix version, which I think is on the Nintendo Switch as well as the mobile. I played the original one on the DS Lite, but I'd say 777 is probably my favorite minor character from that game. And I'm also super excited that The World Ends With You is getting an anime remake, or I guess just an anime adaptation, which I think is also coming out in the spring. So it sounds like spring of next year is going to be a good time for anime series. And then more Leon and Yukiro. And of course, more Shaman King. I think at this time I had started rewatching the Shaman King anime to kind of refresh my memory about the series because it's been some time. And I was playing around with the Pentel Aquash pen again. So I drew Anna and Hao and Len, who is probably still my favorite character, mostly because I feel like he's the only character who has his own arc in the series, and he just goes through so much like character development and growth from the very beginning to the end, and I feel like he's a character who just like really grows on you. So the first time that I watched it when I was a child, Yo was my favorite character, and then the second time when I rewatched it in college, Len was my favorite character, and with this third rewatch, Len is still my favorite character. And I decided to draw Faust. I think I had drawn this after watching the episode where he's first introduced into the series. So I had gotten the Prismacolor Premier Colored Pencils and decided to kind of play around with them and capture this, I guess, scene where Rain and Denzel meet for the first time when Rain has finally finished summoning school and he's officially summoning his familiar. And then on this side, of course, more Shaman King fan art. So this is of Yo and Hao. I originally planned to color this, but then I think I just lost motivation. I was planning to film it as well and just was not in the mood to do so. And by then, like, so much time had passed that I was like, I'm in no mood to color this, regardless of whether I film it or not. And then I used this wax paper again, just because with the Prismacolor colored pencils, they do smear a ridiculous amount, and I didn't want this color to transfer over to this piece. And then more coloring with the Premier colored pencils. So I swatched them out over here, and then I also decided to use them to kind of figure out the color palette for Neira, Aru's mom. So that's her color scheme. On this side, so Denzel's original design, he had a human form. So I kind of wanted to do that again and kind of put his revamped character in like what he would look like in his human form. So I tried to do this from memory, and I think a lot of the aspects of his human form I ended up transferring over to Aru's revamped design. So I feel like both him and Aru look very similar in this drawing. And I did a doodle of rain. And then this is when I had gotten my Prismacolor Coal Erase colored pencils, and they are just so much fun. I know I gushed about them before in my previous video, but you'll see that I ended up just going ham with these colored pencils because they just made sketching just so much more fun and just a lot more colorful and enjoyable to look at. So I did some doodles of, more doodles of Neira and Yosuke, so Aru's parents. And then Anna and Yo from Shaman King. And then on this side, I was basically just trying to figure out new art for my Facebook banner, since its current banner picture was of my business card that I had used back in 2014 when I did the Anime Central Anime Convention. So all of the information on there was very outdated. So I wanted to do a brand new banner with more updated information. So surprisingly enough, I ended up not using any of these for the finished banner. But it was fun just being able to sketch them all out with the colored pencils. And here we've got more Cool Erase doodles. And I actually really like the way that this piece turned out. So I used the Cool Erase colored pencils to just kind of color Aru, and as you can see, the colors blend really nicely. And I'm just overall just so happy with the way that these colored pencils really just add a lot more pop to my sketchbook. And this piece I had done kind of to kick off Inktober. I didn't participate in Inktober or any daily art challenges this year, but I feel like during this time of the year, like it's very nostalgic, and I think it's because it plays on my forte of doing black and white traditional art. So I wanted to kind of put out a piece for the first day. So I did my little thumbnail here in the corner. And this is of Rain and Denzel. I kind of wanted to do like a yin and yang motif. So when I revamped Denzel's design, I kept his color scheme fairly the same, so the dark hair and the light skin. And with Rain, I think I had mentioned it in his original character video when I did my OC series. But basically, Rain's name was the only thing that carried over with his revamp, and I really struggled with his color palette. And ultimately decided to give him white hair and then dark colored skin, and that was completely unintentional to complement Denzel's flipped palette of the dark hair and light skin. So I thought it'd be really cool to see the two of them kind of in this yin and yang pose. And then over here, so I had gotten a package from Chrissy, and I wanted to keep the washi tape that she had put to kind of tape up everything in the package. She also gave me the Pentel brush marker. It came in Heikala's art box, and so she gifted it to me, and so I was kind of playing around with it. And then I don't think the camera's going to pick this up too much, but I did some doodles of Kairi from Kingdom Hearts 3. And then, of course, Len from Shaman King. Did more doodles. So did some doodles of Sailor Mercury, more Yukito and Leon. And then right here, I drew Leo Fotia from Promare, since I think I was in another art block. So when in doubt, just draw characters from like your favorite anime series. That's what works for me. And then with my last spread, so I wanted to draw both Aru and Keo in their human forms and kind of do like a crossing theme. So decided to dress them all nice in suits. So I did this with the Prismacolor Cool Erase colored pencils. And this was the first time that I had drawn Aru in his human form outside of his original character reference sheet. So it was just really nice to be able to see what his color scheme would look like in his human form. And then with Keo, his human form is fairly unchanged. He looks very much the same. And I decided to keep this wax sheet because something that I realized is that the Cool Erase colored pencils also smear like crazy, and I didn't want to ruin either piece with color transfer. And this was the very last drawing, so see you next sketchbook. Decided to just continue the theme of Aru and Keo in their human forms, so kind of like, I guess, a school setting. So that was the end of my sketchbook. More stickers from Redbubble, and then this fruits basket sticker I had bought from Chrissy off her Redbubble shop, and then this is another sticker from Depanda Banda Vanitas from Kingdom Hearts. And then in my pocket, let's see if I'm able to grab everything out at the same time. Okay, so all ELO sketchbooks do come with this code. I don't know if this is still valid, but basically you could save $3 if you buy from the ELO sketchbook website. And it does come with this nifty ruler. So there was that. And I have all of these swatch cards that I carry with with me in my sketchbooks, since I think it's really important to be able to swatch out any markers or paints or anything that you plan to use, because a lot of times it can look different on paper versus what the color on the cap shows. So these two are of the Fine Tech metallic watercolors, and as you can see, they're a lot more vibrant on black paper compared to white paper. And then on the back, I was gifted the Kuretake Gansai Tambi. I think it's just the gold set. So there's that. And then basically my watercolors from my Prima Marketing, and then some Kuretake Gansai Tambi, as well as gouache on the back. And then these were mostly just of my markers, my fine liners, and then of my alcohol markers as well, which I use when I'm coloring. That way I'm able to reference and know exactly what I want ahead of time. And then in terms of art, so this is an art trade that I had done with someone through a Discord art server, and I used alcohol markers for this. And this is the Roxas piece that I was talking about earlier in the tour, where I had done some thumbnails, and I want to eventually maybe do like an expanded series of Kingdom Hearts characters with this similar motif where it's like black and white and then maybe throw on some color. I used the Fine Tech Arabic Gold metallic watercolor for the background, and it's just so pretty. So hopefully this is something that I can continue, since I think it looks really cool. And then this was just a random scrap piece of paper that I had done just playing around with gouache when I first got my set, and just experimenting with trying to get a gradient from like different colors. So that was everything from this sketchbook. If you guys stuck around all the way till this point, thank you. I hope you enjoyed the tour, and I'm super excited to be able to finally be done with the sketchbook and to kind of move on, since this did take me a year and a half, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to be done with the sketchbook and just start a new one. So my new sketchbook is not necessarily new. I actually had this since 2015, but it was one of those sketchbooks where I drew a little bit in it and then just never finished it. So I'm kind of restarting it. So, and it's perfect because I did finish like maybe half of it. So now with this brand new start, it's going to be like the second half of the sketchbook. So this is kind of where we're going to start. So this is Anna from Shaman King. I recently just finished the series again. So wanted to kind of just draw her for kind of like my opening piece of art for this sketchbook. So this is the Moleskine sketchbook. It's slightly smaller than A5. And I've realized that with working with the ELO sketchbook, I've actually really enjoyed a bound sketchbook. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to go back to a spiral bound sketchbook, but it's nice because with the 2 pages, I feel like this is a very good size to work with, because I felt like with the ELO sketchbook, working on one side of the page was fine with the 8x8, but then with doing like a 2-page spread on both sides, it was a little bit too big for me, which you probably noticed like all of the excessive white space when I was going through this tour. So I think that with using a smaller size, hopefully I'll be able to use more of this white space. That way I'm not wasting paper. But yeah, so look forward to that. I am actually not sure when I'm going to be able to have time to do another good quality video, but I will definitely try my best to continue with my real-time Sketch With Me series. But I'll be very busy these next upcoming months with adult medicine, and especially because we're entering winter time. So I'm anticipating a lot of ill cases coming in with the change in the weather. So until I see you guys next time, I hope you guys are doing well. Continue to stay safe and healthy, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!